And Ghostbusters 2 was the first sequel made by Ivan Reitman, who was nervous about making a sequel not entirely relying on special effects. Harold Ramis was also hesitant to return to the sequel after the huge success of the first one. As for Bill Murray, he had actually taken a 4-year hiatus from acting after the huge hit with Ghostbusters and the failure of his passion project, The Razor's Edge. Murray has also had a disdain for making sequels due to the cash grab nature of some sequels, but he did return for Ghostbusters 2 because, quote, working on the first Ghostbusters was the most fun any of us had, end quote.
There's the not a behind the scenes, it's like a retrospective on the Blu-ray that came out for Ghostbusters 30th anniversary. And I there's a quote that I really, really loved where Dan Aykroyd said that, when they could break for lunch, he and Bill Murray would take the train up to his apartment. And even Bill Murray, who's, he said his BS, meter is pretty high, they'd have lunch and he'd say, I think we got something special here. And that meant a lot to Dan Aykroyd, knowing Bill Murray so well, from Saturday Night Live and everything. And that really warmed my heart, thinking, well, yeah, he's, sequels can be cash grabs. And we've all seen bad sequels where we go, yeah, they just did it for the money. Or they just rushed it into production. Like Nightmare on Elm Street 2 is a good example where it's not very well received.
Right.
But, when you have people that care about it and want to do it, and sure, they're, like we were talking about, they're going to, want to be paid what they're worth. But at the same time, it's like Bill Murray's not just saying, yeah, just give me the money, I'll do it. He's saying, I'll do it because I love these guys and I had fun, which, like who wouldn't want to recreate that experience? Like, we're all kind of like that all the time, like, youth is wasted on the young. And I don't think I ever understood that until I got older.
Right.
But now I'm like, man, what I would do now if I knew what I know now, and I could live in my 16-year-old body, my life would be totally different, kind of a thing.
Exactly. Yeah. And like I just mentioned earlier too, Bill Murray, he wanted to come back to this movie, like you said, like not just as a cash grab, but he's like, hey, I think the story would work better if it focused more on the team,
Yeah.
and so he had a part in the creative process of this movie too,
Yeah.
behind the scenes. And I think, and like you said, like when you have a lot of fun on set, it's more likely to show in the movie in your performances.
Mm-hmm.
And, obviously they were all great in this movie. There were great performances from all of them. So I think it worked really well.
It shows in that first scene where they meet at Ray's bookstore, and Bill Murray comes in. I'm looking for a love potion aerosol. And they're all just kind of laughing, like okay, like it immediately feels like, well, these are best friends getting back together that maybe haven't seen each other. It could just be like a day, but maybe it's a few weeks because they're all busy with their stuff, and now they're back together, and and it's like no time has passed. And I have friends that are that way, that I've gotten back together with, and we're just immediately back on our BS,
Yeah.
And it shows in the movie. It's real chemistry that you can't fake.
Yeah. Isn't it so interesting how like you can be like best friends or great friends with somebody and be really close with them and like not see them for like a long time. And then like the moment you guys meet back up, like 5 seconds later, it's like you never missed a beat, Isn't that crazy?
Yep. It's such a funny thing where one of my best friends, who's about 10 years older than me, because he and I were talking about this thing, and he said, it's funny when I'm able to get together with my guy friends, we do stuff that I feel like we'd yell at our kids for. And I think that's sort of the funniest thing about growing up, is that, do as I say, not as I do, with, at least when children are involved.
Yes. Very true.